King Charles just made a decision that could destroy the British monarchy forever. Right now, as you watch this video, Britain is experiencing its worst constitutional crisis in 200 years. The government has lost control, the people are rising up, and King Charles faces an impossible choice that will define his reign and possibly end it. Here's what's actually happening behind palace walls that mainstream media won't tell you. The royal family is in complete meltdown. The Prime Minister is holding crisis meetings every 6 hours. And 5.2 million Britons have just shattered every political record in UK history. If this breakdown of British democracy shocks you as much as it should, hit that subscribe button because this story is exploding by the hour and you won't want to miss what happens next. Let me break down exactly how we got to this unprecedented moment, where the King of England might have to choose between saving democracy and destroying the crown. It started 3 weeks ago with what seemed like routine political frustration. The government's approval ratings were stagnant. Nothing unusual there. But then, something extraordinary happened. A single petition demanding immediate general elections was posted on Parliament's official website. Within 48 hours, 500,000. By the end of the first week, 2 million Britons had signed. But here's where this became a full-blown constitutional emergency. The signatures didn't stop. They accelerated. 3 million, 4 million, 5.2 million, and climbing every single hour. That's not just the largest political petition in British history. It's larger than the populations of Scotland and Wales combined. This isn't some fringe internet campaign. This is the British people speaking with one unified voice, louder than they have in generations. The government's response? Complete panic. Sources inside Downing Street describe a bunker mentality, with senior advisors working 18-hour days trying to contain a crisis that's spiraling completely out of control. The Prime Minister's approval rating has collapsed. Lower than during the expenses scandal. Lower than during Brexit chaos. Lower than any government in modern British history. But the truly terrifying number for Westminster is this. 73% of voters now believe the government has lost the right to govern. That's not just disapproval. That's a complete breakdown of democratic legitimacy. When 3/4 of your population believes you don't deserve power, you're not just facing a political crisis. You're facing a constitutional emergency. Social media has become the revolution's command center, and the numbers are staggering. Number general election now has been trending globally for 8 straight days, generating over 2 billion impressions. TikTok videos of ordinary Britons demanding change have hit 150 million views in just 1 week. YouTube creators are gaining hundreds of thousands of subscribers overnight by exposing government failures. Instagram posts calling for democracy are being shared millions of times. This isn't just young people either. Pensioners are posting Facebook videos, demanding elections. Small business owners are recording testimonials about government failures. NHS nurses are sharing their struggles on every platform. The digital uprising has united every demographic, every region, every political background behind a single message. We want our democracy back. The economic pressure is crushing. The pound has fallen 4% in 5 days as international investors panic about Britain's stability. The FTC has shed £80 billion in value. Business leaders are issuing extraordinary public statements warning that investor confidence is collapsing. The Federation of Small Businesses reports that 71% of members want immediate elections to restore economic stability. Major corporations are quietly preparing contingency plans for government collapse. Banking sources confirm that several international firms are reviewing their UK operations. The governor of the Bank of England held an emergency meeting with Treasury officials, warning that prolonged political instability could trigger a full-blown economic crisis. But here is where this gets truly dangerous for the royal family itself. The protests aren't targeting just Downing Street anymore. For the first time in decades, demonstrators are gathering outside Buckingham Palace, holding signs that read, "Charles, choose democracy," and "King or puppet." Photos of these protests have gone viral worldwide, showing the British monarchy under direct public pressure, in ways not seen since the death of Princess Diana. Palace insiders describe an atmosphere of cold panic. King Charles' approval ratings have dropped below 50% for the first time since his coronation, a warning shot that has terrified royal advisors. They know the brutal arithmetic of monarchy. If you lose majority support, your institution's survival is at risk. Charles is now trapped in the ultimate political nightmare. If he dissolves Parliament and forces elections, he'll be accused of staging a royal coup, breaking 300 years of constitutional tradition where monarchs stay above politics. Conservative MPs would brand him a traitor to parliamentary sovereignty. International allies would question Britain's democratic stability. But if he stays silent and does nothing, he'll be remembered as the king who watched democracy collapse while protecting a failed government. The protesters already see him as complicit. His approval ratings will crater further. The monarchy could face its biggest existential crisis since the English Civil War. Constitutional lawyers are working around the clock because nobody knows what legal authority Charles actually has in this situation. The last time a British monarch considered overruling government was in 1834 when King William IV dismissed Lord Melbourne's administration. We're in completely uncharted constitutional territory, with no clear precedent and no obvious legal answers. Behind palace walls, Charles is reportedly consulting with Britain's top constitutional scholars, legal experts, and former prime ministers. Sources confirm he's held private meetings with Lord Butler, Sir John Major, and even Tony Blair, seeking advice on the most serious constitutional crisis of the modern era. The royal household has split into two warring camps. Younger advisors, many closer to Prince William's generation, argue that neutrality during democratic breakdown is impossible. They believe that if the monarchy does nothing, while Parliament loses legitimacy, the institution will be fatally weakened. You can't be neutral between democracy and authoritarianism, one source told The Times. On the other side are the traditionalists, who warn that any intervention would destroy royal impartiality forever. They argue that 1,000 years of constitutional monarchy depends on staying above political battles, no matter how severe the crisis becomes. International pressure is mounting from every direction. European leaders have privately urged Britain to resolve this crisis before it destabilizes the continent. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz reportedly called Charles directly, warning that prolonged British instability could affect EU-UK relations. French President Emmanuel Macron postponed a state visit, citing constitutional uncertainties. The White House issued an extraordinary late-night statement, stressing the importance of respecting democratic accountability. Diplomatic language that translates to, "Sort this mess out immediately or face international consequences." NATO officials have requested Britain to hold briefings on British political stability, worried that the crisis could weaken the alliance's second-largest military power. Here's the timeline that has Westminster politicians waking up in cold sweats every morning. Senior MPs across all parties are preparing a cross-party vote of no confidence that the government will almost certainly lose. If passed, Constitutional Convention requires the Prime Minister to resign. But sources suggest the Prime Minister might refuse, arguing that calling elections during a manufactured crisis would reward mob rule. If the Prime Minister refuses to resign after losing a confidence vote, Britain enters constitutional territory not mapped since the English Civil War.